The hosts feel it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We are about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to. Well, we've warned you.
Hello and welcome once again to the Frankencast. I'm the mad scientist Anthony Bowman. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm joined as always by...
the Loch Ness monster that you try to kidnap, that is Hayden Orr. My pronouns are also he, him.
Yeah, so we are back as promised with Monster Family 2. And I don't know, like, I own this on DVD. I think I found both Monster Family 1 and 2 in, like, a bargain bin at, like, the Dollar Tree or something. And the cover of the movie just says Monster Family 2. But when I opened it up, like, I had not even broken the shrink wrap. I've had this for years, just waiting for us to do it. And, like, I noticed the disc says Monster Family 2, Nobody's Perfect. And then when I popped it in, when you get, like, to the title screen in the movie, it does the same thing. And I was like, it's weird that they, like, don't put that on the cover. But as soon as you get that as soon as I saw that subtitle, I was like, oh, okay, I know exactly the entire plot of this movie. Like, just that subtitle based on the last movie, I was like, okay, so the family, they're gonna, like, fall back into their rut. They're gonna end up running into another family that seems perfect, but actually the other family is terrible, and our, dysfunctional regular type family is gonna be proven to be good and right, and boy, that is exactly the plot of this movie.
A tale that's never been told. It's a fresh take that we've never seen before in a family comedy or any kind of sitcom.
Yeah. And yeah, so it was, when we finished the last one, it was like, what are they going to do? How are they going to become monsters again? Everything felt wrapped up in this. And yeah, this, not only is it a tale that you've definitely seen before in other media properties, you've more or less seen this in Monster Family 1, just with, like, the added layer of, like, a family for them to compete against, a Keeping Up with the Joneses type of family, which is somehow an even more obvious plot than the first one.
It's I wanted to like a lot of the stuff that they were throwing in here, like the Loch Ness stuff, and they meet a Yeti, and there's, like, a big King Kong gorilla stuff going on. And usually, I'm like, okay, oh yeah, here we go. This is right up my alley, and it's already, like, monsters and Frankenstein stuff. This is cool, but this movie was just so predictable, I guess, and so not funny that I kind of was just, like, droning through it. Like, it was just a slog for my brain to pay attention to this movie.
Yeah, it's just like at every step, every time something new is introduced, you're like, oh, okay, so that's this is going to be this, and, like, never are you surprised ever. And
yeah, exactly.
Because, like, what we start out, and so the first thing we see is, we're at Dracula's castle again, the same way the last movie started, in the snow this time. I think we were in, like, a more, like, spooky autumnal sort of setting previously, but we have a spy drone thing that approaches the castle, and then, like, a girl in, like, a mechanical suit with, like, little, like, digital wings that pop out of the back, like, dives through a window, and, like, goes and, like, wakes up Dracula, and, like, I mean, right away I was like, okay, so we've got a young girl with a science-y theme, so here's our sort of love interest for Max. And sure enough, as soon as she wakes up Dracula, we cut right to Max, so like it seems like, and he's doing a science experiment, so I mean we're really setting this up right away. But now all of Dracula's like goofy bat sidekicks are Max's sidekicks, and they are like filming a video as they're doing an experiment on Baba Yaga's amulet. And over the course of him recording this video, he just gives us a summary of the last movie. Because, okay, this is a kid's movie. If we need that, we're not going to like expect a kid to remember what happened, in this previous movie. And, he explicitly says like, now that the family's been cured of the curse, as long as they're happy, they can't be cursed again, and they're all happy now, I guess, he says, ... So, things are falling back into familiar patterns, as things are wont to do with a family. And right away from there, he's like, I don't know why we can't be more like my heroes, the stars. And he has like a little like hologram of these two characters that look basically like Reed Richards and Sue Storm from the Fantastic Four. They're just like, an attractive young couple in like white science superhero jumpsuits. So he's like, my hero's the stars. And then we cut right back to Dracula and the girl we've seen who, interesting, her suit kind of looks like that suit we just saw. And and Dracula's like, who are you? And she says, my name is Mila Star. It's like, okay. So we're not, not leaving that up to, again, I guess we're making this for kids. We don't want them trying to have to guess or think too hard about what's going on here. So all that's really kind of set in place right away. And she, she's obviously dressed in superhero outfits, and we know that her parents are, heroes of Max's, and, this is Dracula. So like the good versus evil thing should be pretty clear, except she's like, just kind of like rude and bitchy to him for she's like says he has bad breath, and she's just like kind of unpleasant at him. Eventually, she kind of like instigates a fight with him that the end result is like she uses her drone to like drop a chandelier from the ceiling that like traps him in like a chandelier prison. And right away she like, has like a little hologram watch thing, and she calls her parents and says, I've captured Dracula. And they seem only mildly proud of this. They're like, good work. Okay, head on to the next mission. So now we need you to catch Baba Yaga. And she's like, okay, great, I'll do it. And so we're getting her as like a very like, sort of gung-ho sidekick to her parents, who are they seem like they're just sort of using her as like a tool. They don't seem particularly impressed with her work, even though she's like, Max's age, like, I don't know, 14 or something. And she just caught Dracula by herself. This is, impressive.
Yeah, I don't think they literally even ask if she's okay. They're just like, oh, okay, good. Like, you did your job. Like, They are very, just not even concerned.
And so we go back from her to Max, who is trying a series of experiments with the amulet. And this is just, just like Monster Family 1, we're going to have sections that are just like long bits, that don't really do anything other than just like throw a bunch of gags for kids to laugh at. So it's a lot of slapstick stuff. None of it's working right. I didn't even write down everything that happens, but like various silly things happen to Max as he tries a variety of things with, I think one of them is like anti-gravity, and he like floats to the ceiling, and, just some kind of stuff like that. And then we see, like, I think Later, we have like Max at, or he's looking like on his computer or his phone or something, and he sees that like someone has posted a video of him online dancing, and it's like, he's dancing by himself and, dancing like no one's watching, but turns out someone was, and they filmed it and they put it on the internet, and now everybody's like cyberbullying him. And Faye comes in and is like, "Did you see this video?" And Max is like, "Yeah, I saw it." She's like, "How am I going to go to school and everybody knows that I'm related to this embarrassing dork from this video?" Like completely not aware or concerned about Max's feelings at all. Just like, a very, selfish teen, like in the most classic sense. But Max kind of throws that back at her, and he's like, I thought you were dropping out anyway. What do you care? You're not even going to be at school anymore. I mean, you're flunking all your classes." And Faye's like, "Shh, don't say anything about that. I haven't decided for sure yet, and Mom and Dad don't know anything about the grades. Just be quiet." So suddenly she's, goes right from making fun of him to like, wanting his cooperation and her shame. And then we see that that their parents are outside, like yelling up, they're like Max's room's on the second floor, and they're late. They're supposed to be headed to a wedding, and of course, neither of the kids are ready to go, and so they're like, "We gotta go, hurry, get ready," and we get sort of again like chaos as the kids are trying to get ready super fast, and so we've established, Max is not happy. He's being bullied. Faye's not happy. She's not doing well at school. And then we see the two parents down there kind of annoyed that they're stuck waiting on their kids. And the mom, was her name Ellen? She says, "Remember that time we had to fight Dracula? I miss that. Those are easy times." So, yeah, it seems like the parents are not very happy anymore either. So, yep, definitely back to the old status quo with the family.
Yeah. Which is like, I mean, I guess it was needed for this movie, but it's just like, oh, so you only learned your lesson for like 15 minutes after the first one. Like it seems like they're literally right back in the same like rut with each other.
Learned nothing. And Frank, the dad, looks at the invitation, and we see that the wedding is for Renfield and Baba Yaga, who seem to have actually grown as people. That we saw them sort of like fall in love in the last film, and now they're getting married, and they're older, but they're starting a new life away from the villain world that they were previously associated with. So like they seem to be doing better and they haven't just reverted back to being villains again. Like they're actually progressing. And then I think we see some more footage of Max like trying to get dressed, and it's all chaotic. He doesn't. Oh, and then we get our first. He tries to put on dress clothes, and he can't button his pants, and the shirt's all like pulling at all the buttons and stuff. And I mean, Max is like of an age where he's just growing. This is normal. Kids get bigger and grow out of their clothes, but this will become like a running sort of like fat phobic gag that he's fat and he's not. Like he's it's certainly possible to make a ridiculous fat character in an animated film, which would be bad also. But they haven't really done that here. We're just going to call him fat the whole time, but he still basically looks the same as he did before.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think they really changed his character model, like, at all, really. I mean, especially when he turns, spoiler alert, when they turn back into monsters, he literally looks exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a little dog boy again. But, yeah, so I don't know, like, but it does become, like, at first I was just like, oh, he's growing, and, like, he doesn't have clothes that fit him, and we're going to move on from this. But no, this comes up over and over and over again. We're just going to beat this joke question like into the ground. Like it is, it gets very tiresome. But eventually, because he doesn't fit into the clothes, he has an idea to use the amulet to wish for better clothes. And then he comes strolling out of the house in like basically like a 70s pimp costume. And like it's, I think the like, Le Freak C'est Chic, that song is like playing as he's like strolling out, in like a big hat and like a fur coat and big rings. I mean, like it's the whole thing. And then the whole family's like, oh wow, yeah, this looks good. Like they're all impressed, and Max gets in the car, and then we get another extended bit where it's just like dad speeding around town and almost getting in car crashes a bunch and like slamming on the brakes, and the bats smash into the windshield and speeding on, just that for 5 minutes or so. It just like goes on and on. Yeah, like, I mean, I guess this is just a thing for like this kind of like C-tier kids movie, is we're just gonna pad the runtime with like stuff where we don't have to pay voice actors, and we're just using our animation models for repetitious slapstick gags.
Yeah.
But eventually, and as the course of this thing going on, Max and Faye get in an argument in the back seat, and Max, to like make things difficult on Faye, outs her as like thinking about dropping out of school. And of course the parents are like, no, you're not doing that. You're going to finish school. And Faye is like, man, I don't know why. Like, I'm flunking all my classes. I'm bad at everything. And, you all aren't helping me. I don't know what to. And they're like, well, we just have faith in you. We just, we respect you too much to help you with your homework. We expect that, you've got it all under control because you're so smart and capable. And she's like, I've asked you for help and you won't. Like, so like, I mean, we're also setting in stone that not only is everybody unhappy, but everybody's kind of being unkind to each other. Max is trying to get Faye in trouble. Faye was rude to Max earlier and like, not understanding of his embarrassment. And we have the parent, the kids who are obviously going to be disrespectful to their parents. That's just par for the course. But like that the parents are not being good parents either is, everybody's kind of letting themselves and everyone else in the family down constantly here. So yeah, really setting in stone that they have forgotten everything they learned in the last movie. And like, even to the point that they're like, Faye says something like, I was in a play last week and you didn't even come to see it. Like, which is awful. Like that's terrible. And like, of course, not only are the parents being bad parents, but they get really defensive when they're called out on it. They're like, no, we were going to, we planned to, and it's just upsetting. And Max is like, man, I just miss being a werewolf. Like, no one laughed at me then. Like, I felt like I kind of understood my place when I was a werewolf. Everything made a little bit more sense. And at that point, I think they like get to the wedding venue, and Max sees out the window like two cool girls from school, and he's like, oh no, I don't want to be seen by these two cool girls. Like, everybody's been making fun of me about this dance video or whatever. And his dad's like, well, you look pretty cool now. This might be the chance to like, look cool in front of them. And Max is like, oh yeah, I guess I do. And so of course he, gets out of the car, trips, falls, his pants button pops off. I think his pants kind of like half fall down a little bit. And the girls are just filming all this happen and immediately post it online and laugh. And it's just, just painful to watch, just the worst version of just public cyberbullying here. And at this point, like it is, like Emma, the mom, is like, she feels bad for Max. She's just like, they're making fun of you. And he's like, yeah, this has been going on a while and you haven't really been present. You haven't been paying attention. Yeah, this happens to me all the time. It sucks. I hate it. This is why I'd rather be a werewolf. It's better than this. And it feels like, mom is sort of like toothless here. She's just like, wow, it makes me sad to know that my kid is being bullied, but like, I've got nothing to offer. I can't comfort him. I can't fix it. It's just, it's just a bummer of a scene. So yeah, just that, still, really cementing that no one is happy here. And then that's when they walk into the wedding, and we see that like they're basically the only guests, and they're late, and so they're apologizing, and Baba Yaga's like, I'm used to it with you all, but we got to get things going. So now you're the ring bearer. You got to do this. You're gonna like. She just gives them all jobs, makes them all do stuff, and the wedding starts to proceed, but then gets interrupted. Obviously, we had earlier that Mila had her next assignment to capture Baba Yaga. So, of course, here she shows up to kidnap her from her own wedding. And Baba Yaga goes to pull out her amulet, but she doesn't have it because Max stole it earlier for his goofy experiments. And so, yeah, now we get a pretty extended slapstick fight chase sort of thing that happens throughout the church. This is where we'll get like Mila just like explicitly mocking Max and calling him fat. Like she gives him the nickname Pizza Boy, like saying that he's been eating too much pizza and that's why his pants don't fit. And in spite of being like ruthlessly bullied by her in this scene, Max is like clearly smitten right away, which is just sad. Like it's just rough.
He's got a complex. He's going to need to go to therapy, otherwise he's going to end up in really, really bad relationship after really, really bad relationship.
Yes, yeah. It's either toxic relationships or at best he's well on his way to a humiliation kink. But yeah, either way, he definitely needs some therapy. And I think Mila has her drone. Over the course of this, she keeps like capturing Baba Yaga with that and trying to carry her away while she's fighting the family. At some point, like Max and Mila fight over the controller for the drone, and they fall, in such a way that like they they kiss, and immediately they both like jump back and like they act really grossed out. And they're like, ooh, yuck, but there's very much like a, JK unless kind of thing about this. Like Max is acting grossed out, even though, obviously he is very into this. And this, there's a part where the family's like playing keep away with her. This goes on. It feels like 10 minutes of this scene. And eventually, like, she tries to fly away, and Max grabs her leg, and like she's like flying out of control because of the weight, and so we get more fat jokes from that. And I think like at this point, I like wrote in my notes, okay, this movie is going to be full of fat jokes, isn't it? And yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's like they were like, we can't do fart jokes like we did last time, so what can we run into the ground as soon as the movie fucking starts? And they're like, well, let's just make fun of fat kids.
Yeah. And yeah, I think eventually the drone manages to get away with Baba Yaga, but Renfield kind of grabs onto the side of it and he gets taken away as well. So I think Max eventually like stomps back to his family, having failed, and is like, I wish that if I'd been a werewolf, if we were monsters, we could have saved Baba Yaga. We could have ended this right now, but we're just a bunch of boring, idiots who don't get along and don't know what we're doing, and we've ruined everything, and we've lost our friend, and it's all our fault. And then Max is like, oh wait, I still have Baba Yaga's amulet. And so he decides to wish to become a werewolf again, and the whole family's like, no, don't do it. And he's like, I'm not going to turn us all into monsters. I'm just turning me into a werewolf. It's just for me. And so he starts casting the spell. The family all kind of like tries to tackle him and stop it. And the magic stuff starts swirling. And of course, they all turn into monsters again. And of course, Max is thrilled and the rest of the family is not. But, obviously we knew this is, if you've seen the movie poster, they're all monsters. We knew this was going to happen. So here we are, back to where we were in the previous film. But of course now we're going to cut away from that, back to the Star family. And they are, well, first we just have the Star parents, and they are, filming a video of some new tech that they've invented. And this is when Mila arrives, and they're annoyed that she's 15 minutes late with Baba Yaga. So yeah, like not even remotely impressed with all the hard work she's putting in. And they're also kind of annoyed that she has Renfield too. And Mila's like, I mean, I think he's a monster too, but he just held on to the thing. I'm just bringing you who you asked for, and he's just a bonus guy. Do whatever you want with him. And they're like, okay, well, we've got your next mission. And she's like, can we just like hang out a while? Like, can I spend some time with my mom and dad? And they're like, no, we don't have time for that. Our work is too important. We, the stars, we have a responsibility to make the world a better place. And so now we need you to go get the Loch Ness Monster and the Yeti. And Mila's like, I mean, I just got like, Dracula and Baba Yaga who are just like people, but you want me to get like a giant dinosaur thing and a huge ape guy? Like, I can't carry those with this drone. And they're like, oh yeah, we have a shrink ray. This will make everything easier. You just shrink them down. And while they're doing all this, Renfield has like run away. He tries to like jump onto a jet thing to steal it. And they end up shrinking him down. And it's funny, like, I think this is the first sort of, like, we've seen that Mila's parents are shitty to her, but she's sort of just, like, taking it. But when she goes over and picks up the tiny Renfield, she's like, why are you trying to get away? We're the good guys. And I think she's trying to convince herself that that's true. Like, we have captured an old lady and her, soon-to-be husband, and we now shrunk down this man, and we're making, this is going to make the world a better place? I guess that's what mom and dad say, so I have to believe it. But, it's definitely the beginning of her sort of questioning, like, what is going on here? And, obviously is the beginning of Mila's face turn, basically, as she realizes what's going on around her. But that's obviously the plot of the movie. That's where we're going. And, again, it's set up pretty early on. It's not hard to guess what's going to happen. But to really, emphasize the sadness of everything that's happening here, Mila, hops back in her drone thing and goes to fly away. And we have tiny Renfield in a jar, and he's just like tearfully says, "This was supposed to be the happiest day of my life." And I mean, that's pretty brutal for a kids movie. Like this is like one of the rare moments of like genuine pathos we get out of this film. It's just like, wow, yeah, that's rough. And so then we go, of course, back to the family, where we get a brief moment of Emma and Faye being on the same page, in that they're both nagging Max to change them back, and they're like saying the exact same thing word for word at the same time. And so, I think is also kind of reminding us that, like, even though this family is a little unhappy and they're not getting along, like they're very similar. Like this mother-daughter, they're clashing because teenage daughter, this is inevitable. But they clearly have more in common than their differences. But Max is like, I mean, this, we've done this before. Remember the first movie where we did this, and the only way to change back was we got to be happy. So I can't turn us back. It's good. We just got to do it. And that really kind of bums everyone out, because they're like, is it possible to be happy again? Like, will we ever manage to do it? And Max is like, let's not worry about that now. We've got powers. Let's go save Baba Yaga. And he's not only do they have powers, but Max has the amulet, which in the last movie, the big thing with the amulet was it was a tool to teleport around the world. So we have Max trying to like track down Mila using the amulet, and he's able to do it pretty successfully because it seems like he kind of have to really focus in on something, and he's got a crush on her, so it's easy to focus in really hard on Mila. So of course they go directly to Loch Ness, but in the water, like under at the bottom of Loch Ness. So they, Max has to like teleport them out before they drown. But now it's, he's kind of like in a panic, and we just get them teleporting to a bunch of different places. Again, a bunch of slapstick gags. Eventually they're right back where they started, and they're like, no more magic. We got to do this a regular way. And then, of course, Frank is back to like talking in like Frankenstein caveman type voice. But he manages to like get out enough words that Emma remembers that, oh yeah, after the last movie, we kept Dracula's bat jet and hid it in the barn behind Cheyenne's house. So let's go get that, and we can just fly to Loch Ness. And of course,
just kept this fucking like Avengers, like Tony Stark, next level technology jet that fucking. Was there any indication that they kept the jet in the first movie at the end? Because I don't remember that.
No, absolutely nothing about that. Yeah,
yeah. They were just like, we need a way for them to get around. Let's just bring back the jet. We already have the model for it,
Yeah. But what they don't have is the voice actress for Cheyenne. So when they get to her house, it's like, oh, she's on vacation, but we'll just go behind her house and take the jet.
But which was really disappointing because she was, like we said before, like she was honestly basically the most enjoyable character in the first one. She was the one that, she was like this kind of what should have been just like a stereotype of a hippie, but she was like more interesting and nuanced than our family. So yeah, it was kind of a bummer to have her gone. And instead of her, we have like an annoying like farmer neighbor who is like, threatens the family that he's going to call the cops. And so Faye gets to use her mummy hypnotism again. And, because, in the last movie we had like, the sort of like beauty queens that Faye turned into monkeys, sort of like her default for hypnotism is like, how can I humiliate this person? And so we've got this, this kind of redneck farmer guy. So of course she turns him into a ballerina, which, feels, vaguely like, there's a lot of toxic masculinity there, some like vague like homophobia sort of stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, so he, goes doing plies across his cornfields or whatever, and the family, hop in the jet, and of course they don't know how to control it. They're pressing buttons, nothing's working, and then Max discovers, or no, first we realize that Emma's got her like bloodlust coming back, but Max finds a stash of those special Dracula pills from the last movie that like curb that bloodlust. So he gives one of those to Mom, and then over the course of it, as they're talking, they activate a hologram autopilot, and this, we discover that they have they don't need to know how the controls work. They can just talk to a hologram of Dracula, which feels like mainly, well, we don't have Cheyenne, but we still do have our Dracula actor, so we might, even though he's captured, we can bring him back in hologram form. Which was good, he obviously was another sort of high point acting wise in the previous film, so that was fine. And so of course they go to Loch Ness, and we cut from them like getting to Loch Ness to Mila also getting there, and her parents are like, okay, go ahead and capture Nessie, and she's like, I don't know, she seems friendly, and they're like, no, she can't be friendly, she's a monster, don't pay, just capture her. So Mila's like, well, I gotta go, there's somebody else is coming here, and she hangs up. And we cut to the star parents, who are furious that Mila hung up on them. Like, we do not like this recent willful streak in Mila. This is not good. This is not okay. But the dad is like, we just need her to get these last 2 specimens, and then it won't matter. The mission will be over. It won't be any concern of ours what Mila's like. So we're I mean, even if the mission's over, theoretically, she's still their daughter, but it doesn't sound like that's a concern for them. So right away, we're really, nailing it down that, like, the stars are bad. They're not good people at all. So we go back to Mila seeing this, like, group of monsters getting out of this jet, and they're all arguing over whether Nessie actually exists or not. And then she's like, wait a minute, the voice coming out of that wolf boy. And she's like, wait, Pizza Boy? And he's like, yeah, no, I'm not Pizza Boy. I am Were-Max. And, that leads to, again, an extended fight scene where Mila continues to just kind of run circles around the whole family. She, like, ends up, like, knocking out Frank, and he collapses onto Emma, so puts her out of commission as well. Faye tries to hypnotize her, but it does not work. She even, like, I think she, like, slides her helmet down, and it's, like, mirrored, so it, like, deflects the hypnotism back at Faye, which results in Faye doing again an extended dance number that goes on way too long.
Yeah, I was like, during this scene, I was like, oh, okay, so they still are, they're just, okay, yeah, okay. It's not done yet, okay. Like, Jesus Christ, man.
And in both cases, not only are these like in the last film, we had we opened with that really, really long, it's not unusual, and so we have, two now she's doing MC Hammer, she's doing it can't touch this, or you can't touch this.
Yeah.
And these are not songs that mean anything to the demographic that is this movie ostensibly is aimed at. Kids do not know or care about it's Tom Jones or MC Hammer. Like, these both might as well be like Beethoven as far as like a kid watching this. Like, it's just has nothing to do with the age bracket that's the humor of this movie is certainly aimed at. And I know a lot of times kids movies will put stuff in for adults too, to like make a kids movie tolerable for parents. But I don't think that most parents are like, hell yeah, MC Hammer reference. Now I'm not bored at this dumb movie.
Yeah, like, what? That's not going to make a parent who's like miserable having to sit through this with their kid just completely do a 180 on their opinion of this fucking movie.
Yeah, it's absolutely absurd. And yeah, like I said, it goes on interminably. It is so long. She does something to like knock Max out of commission as well, like launches him off into the distance, and he splashes into the water. And so that now she's taking care of everybody, and she puts on scuba gear, goes down in the lock, and is following her drone that has some kind of sonar detector leading her to the monster. We do see that as she's following that, Max is slowly catching up to her. He's following her as well. And eventually she, of course, catches I think Max catches up to her right as she gets to Nessie, and we're in this like beautiful underwater utopia of like all this glowing, bioluminescent plants. And Max tries to stop her from, hurting Nessie. They get in another fight. She knocks Max unconscious under the water, shrinks Nessie, puts Nessie into, containment thing, jar or whatever, and then does drag the unconscious Max back, to the surface and pulls him up on the beach and gives him CPR. And she's like, what you did was brave, but really stupid. And Max is like, you saved me. And she's like, well, yeah, of course. I'm one of the good guys. And, I think this is like the point where Max is like, oh, this is something weird is going on here. Like, what? She thinks she's saving the world, but seems like she's just like hurting innocent people and animals. So, obviously they've been at odds with each other, but I think Max is realizing that, like, Mila has sort of, she's drank the proverbial Kool-Aid here, and like, I think he maybe is starting to wonder if, like, there's somebody beyond her that is the actual problem.
Yeah. By the way, I'm sure you've probably seen at least one in your lifetime, but I've seen plenty of like documentaries about the Loch Ness Monster and monster hunting shows where they go to Loch Ness. The water in this movie is way too fucking clear to be the Loch Ness. That water in real life is like darker than a fucking cup of black coffee. Mm-hmm. It's insane how muddy and like brackish and thick and dark the water is there. But in this, I mean, there's like you said, there's like bioluminescent seaweed stuff at the bottom, and it's like clear enough to see even when they're like in a darker area of the loch. It just is not at all what it is.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's like sort of the whole point. Like, that's why there's this mystery, because we can't see in the water. So there's room to believe the possibility that there's something hidden down there that we just can't see because of the situation. But yeah, I guess, they assume that children watching this don't know, and we just needed to have like something pretty for the kids to look at.
Yeah. And I mean, it doesn't matter because of what the movie is. It's like, it's pointless. But when I was watching it, I was like, oh, that kind of irks me. Like, I don't even know why. It's just something stupid that was just getting on my nerves, kind of.
No, I felt the same way. It was just like, yeah, I mean, like, they like, it's just really more evidence of like the laziness of this movie, that like, they're not really interested in anything sort of, approaching. I mean, obviously, there's, when you're talking about the Loch Ness Monster, it's hard to say like what reality is, but like, at least our version of reality, it's just kind of like continuing the sort of like lazy tone of this movie.
Yeah.
But I think, eventually, before she leaves, she says something like, and she calls him Pizza Boy again, and he's like, my name is Max. Like, I guess if we're going to be arch nemesis, like, he's just kind of like, if you're the bad guy of this movie, like, if our families are just going to keep clashing for the next, hour or how much ever time's left in the film, we might as well know each other's real names. So call me Max. And she says, I'm Mila Starr. And he's like, wait, Star? Like the Stars? She's like, yeah, that's my mom and dad. And he's like, I didn't know they had a daughter. And she's like, yeah, they kind of kept me a secret for, it's part of the mission. It makes sense. They're not embarrassed of me or anything, but yeah, they haven't, shared with the world that I exist. And it's like, okay. Yeah, Max right away is like, yeah, I'm not that, I don't buy this. But like, I think he's even like, that doesn't make sense. Why would they do that? And she's like, I don't really know, but they told me it's important. And yeah, Max is like, okay, sure it is. And so right, of course, she at that point, like, it's like every time she kind of runs into resistance from Max, like, she just, is not going to stick around for that. She, hops in her plane and takes off again. And Max, like, tries to wake up the family and, get his unconscious dad off of the top of his mom. And, like, we need to chase after her. We need to, not only do we now need to save Nessie, we need to use this, we need to follow her because it's going to take us to Baba Yaga. But it's hard to keep up. She's already taken off. And so they all hop in the jet, and Faye tells the autopilot, follow that monster. And Max is like, I mean, yeah, she's made some bad decisions here. She's clearly very misguided, but I wouldn't call her a monster. And Faye's like, I'm talking about the Loch Ness monster, but you clearly have it bad for this girl. And yeah, I mean, like, yeah, obviously he does. Like, there's really no denying it. But we then have, like, the next, it's every time we're sort of in between an important plot point, we just have to have an extended bit. So now the bit is the Dracula autopilot thing starts. It does, like, some silly, like, a safety video with recordings of Renfield, and it just kind of, like, a bunch of that kind of stuff for a little while. Ultimately, they, I think it goes on a while, and they eventually, just get to the Himalayas, because we knew they were, headed to get to the Yeti at this point. And as soon as they, like, get out of the jet, they immediately see, like, giant footprints, and they're like, I wonder what those could be about. And, like, Frank notices that, like, he's got his big giant Frankenstein feet, but these footprints are even bigger than that. So, pretty, something very big. And then, so they start following him, and of course, it leads to a Yeti that seems like a kind of angry, or at least confused. I mean, he seems like a wild animal, just seeing a bunch of monstrous people in his territory or whatever. It looks like he's gonna, like, try to, like, hurt them or scare them away, but then he sees Frank, and for some reason the song Love Is in the Air starts playing, and Frank and the Yeti have, like, a bonding montage where they're just, like, suddenly best buds. I don't know, like, it seems like the Yeti is being portrayed as, like, a sort of masculine creature, and Frank is also, a man who is, married to a woman. So it's not, they don't, and the movie is not trying to portray them as being in love. Like, it seems like they're friends, they're buddies, they're like, but we're playing Love Is in the Air. I don't know. This whole scene, again, just felt like padding the movie with another sort of, like, nonsense montage to me.
Yeah, it is kind of weird and, like, out of nowhere. But, I mean, I think clearly what the intent of the filmmakers is, I mean, the Yeti is a fan of the Frankencast, obviously. He's just, obsessed with Frankenstein. He's collecting little Frankenstein trinkets and knickknacks, and, he's got a cave just a few 100 feet down the mountain where he's got his NECA figures and all his, expensive collectible Frankenstein memorabilia that he got off eBay. We just don't see that part,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm looking here at our listener stats, and yeah, there's one in the Himalayas. I see one little. Yep. All checks out. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. See, that's all it was.
Yeah. But so, of course, we have the long montage, and then it's just interrupted as Mila appears, zaps the Yeti, shrinks him down, throws him in a jar, like, because she sort of sneaks up on him this time. We don't even really have much of a fight to stop her. But then, once, once she actually, or once they see her, then they try to like, rescue the Yeti, which, we have Faye trying to do her tornado thing again. Because, that's last movie, she has two powers. She has hypnotism, which failed earlier in this movie already. And then the like dust devil sand tornado thing. But now we're in snow. So she does it. And it seems like it's working, except that it causes an avalanche, which like, ends up like sweeping the whole family, including Mila, runs them all down the side of a cliff or a mountain. And the end result is like Mila is hanging off the side of a cliff and the family rescues her. It feels like sort of a mirror image of like her, pulling Max to shore and giving him CPR. And, it seems like the same thing where she's like, wait, you saved me? And she's like, wait, maybe they're the good guy. I think, I'm sure if she like spends time thinking about things like, she saved Max, would her parents have wanted her to save Max? I think I know the answer, and I think maybe she's starting to ponder that answer as well. But so yeah, we end up having like, as they pull her, up onto, safety, they kind of like, do a flip or whatever. And Max ends up landing on top of her again, and sort of like a sexually tense moment again. Or no, I think she lands on Max. But Max is like, what is going on? What are you doing? Why are you kidnapping all of these monsters? Why did you kidnap our friends? And Mila's like, I don't have to tell you anything. And Max is like, we deserve at least some answers. We just saved you. And then Mila has to be like, well, I actually don't know. My parents have told me that if we do this, it can help them make the world a better place. But I don't know how or why. I just know that that's the job. I'm taking these monsters and they're doing something with them, and then it's going to save the world. And Max is like, your parents have a plan where they're making you do all of the work, and you don't know why or what it is that you're doing exactly, and they won't tell you, and you don't find that suspicious. And she's like, I don't have time to think about this. I'm on a schedule. I got to get this back to my parents. And he's like, okay, just maybe you should start thinking about that. Sure enough, like, I think we just cut to her getting home and again being chastised by her parents for being late. And they're like, okay, we're really running behind schedule now, but we've got just one last mission and then you're all done. But as she's been flying home, I think she's been thinking about what Max said, and she's like, no, I'm not doing the last mission unless you tell me what this is about. What are we doing here? What is the point of all of this? And her mom is pissed. She's like, we don't have to tell you anything, young lady. She's just really like, my insolent daughter, that kind of thing. And Dad's like, okay, let's all calm down. We can show you we can explain. We'll show you what we're doing. We never meant to hide anything from you. We just, we were busy with our side of the work, and we were letting you deal with your side of the work. But if it's important to you, of course, we're happy to let you in on what's going on here. It's, after all, you deserve to know. You've put in all of this hard work, and so this is the reward. But still, the mom is like, I don't wish we're rewarding this insolent. She's not happy about it. But they, go to level X of their super science layer, and they reveal that they are building a machine that will allow people to live forever. This will eradicate all sickness. It will give all of mankind eternal life. So everyone will be perfect and happy, and no one has to be sick or in pain ever again. This seems great. It seems perfect. And Mila's like, well, how does it work? And they're like, well, we have to tap into the immortal energy of all of these monsters that have lived for, hundreds and thousands of years. And Mila's like, so what happens to them? And they're like, why does that matter? They're monsters. They're abominations. We're humans. We deserve immortality, not them. And somehow, like, I mean, this sounds awful. Like, this sounds horrible. But somehow they're able to, like, convince Mila that, like, this is good, actually. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how, after she just interacted with this family of monsters who are clearly good and kind and trying to help and who saved her life. But right away she's like, okay, that makes sense. Sure, we're going to save all of humankind. Because, as we all know, and as our family catchphrase attests, stars make the world a better place. And they all say it together in unison. And they're like, all right, so you ready to go on the last mission? And she's like, yeah, okay, we'll do it. So she hops in her, spy plane and takes off. And as soon as she's gone, her mom is like, why did you tell her all this? I can't believe that. And the dad's like, I mean, I just showed her some, the things that we don't want her to know, it's more important to keep that a secret. And if I can tell her some stuff that doesn't really matter to keep her from asking more questions, I think it's worth it. So clearly there's more going on than we currently have been told. I mean, again, this movie's super predictable. Obviously, they're using her and, like, she doesn't matter to them. And, obviously, their specific intentions here are going to become more and more clear in the film. And this is what they're hiding from her and what the film is sort of weakly trying to hide from us. So we go from her, from the bad family, the Star family, to, our family, the, our heroes here, who are again trying to track Mila down. And I think this is when Faye and Emma realize that, like, no, Max, like, really has feelings for Mila. And that maybe we can, like, use this to like help us find her and figure out what's going on. There's clearly, they're starting to realize that, like, the Mila situation is more complicated than, Mila being just the bad guy. And we cut away to Mila, who has arrived at some sort of jungle island for her last mission. And that Max is able to use the teleportation powers, or I don't remember if they teleport or they just, like, track her down and jet there, but they end up getting back to her again. And right away Max like, did you talk to your parents? Do you know why you're doing what you're doing? And she's like, I do, but I'm not telling you anything. It's top secret. But yes, they told me because my family, they love and trust me, and they tell me what's going on. And Max is like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, I bet. And Max is like, but will you help us free our friends at least? And she's like, no, they're part of it. I can't. That's part of the thing. And Max is like, all right, then I guess we got to keep fighting because we're gonna save our friends. That's what we're here to do. So we have like the sort of like the Incredibles or whatever. Like we're gonna all stand off in superhero pose for a minute. But then we get interrupted as a giant ape. We had the Yeti, a large, 7 foot tall or whatever thing. But now we have something much, much larger stomp out of the jungle behind Mila. It's King Kong. But for trademark reasons, it's Konga. King Konga.
Yes.
The dancing
legally
giant.
Distinct. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So Mila goes to like zap him with the freeze, the shrink ray, and then he's like, wait, where is it? And we see Max somehow like pickpocket it and stole it from her. And so she can't shrink him down. And Faye's like, well, I'll get him under control. So she tries to use her hypnotism powers again, but hypnotism really is, you don't hypnotize a dog, right? This is a thing you do to people. And so it does, it doesn't seem like it works for animals. It's more of a, it has to require a level of human sentience that King Konga doesn't have. But, so she's kind of like, oh no, what are we going to do? And then suddenly the bats, who we've just have been around this whole time and not really had anything to do with the plot, but they've been here. They start playing music. We know in the previous film they were the one they played. It's Not Unusual for Dracula. So they start playing a song, and it's like a kind of Calypso Island vibe kind of song. This one's not like an actual pop song as far as I recognize. I think it was just probably some public domain nonsense, or maybe they actually got somebody to write a song for this movie. But of course, this music soothes the savage beast, and he starts dancing, and they're like, oh yeah, I guess this is why they call him King Konga. And this dance number goes on again for fucking ever.
Yeah.
Faye ends up like suddenly dressed like a fairy. She's wearing got like a jungle leaf crown on, and like wings made out of branches or something, flower. It's just and she's dancing and she's singing. Mom and Dad are dancing together. Max and Mila are dancing together. Everybody's just having a great time. And yeah, it goes on a while, and then it fades right into like later that night where everybody's chilling around the campfire, and there's still music. One of the bats is just playing like a ukulele as if it's a guitar, because little bat guy. And so everybody's just kind of chilling, and we finally get Mom being like, Faye, I'm really proud of you. I know you said you're not good at anything and that we don't notice what you have going on in your life, but I see you. I saw you today, and you thought really quickly in the moment, and you really saved us all here, and I'm really proud of you. And Faye's like, yeah, it did feel right to kind of work with Konga and like calm him down and like help everything. And I wonder, maybe I want to like work with animals. Maybe I want to be like a zookeeper or some sort of scientist who works one-on-one with animals. And Emma's like, well, that sounds kind of sciencey. I bet you have to graduate high school to do something like that. And Faye's like, yeah, I think I'll stay in school. I think I'll do it. And then we see that, Mila is still there with them. And she's kind of sitting over kind of to the side, really sad. And, Max is like, what's up? And she's like, I'm realizing that this is the most fun I've ever had, hanging out with my arch nemesis. And he's like, you don't like do fun stuff with your parents? And she's like, I have never had a single fun moment with my family. I've only ever been instructed, taught, and commanded by them. I've never ever spent a leisurely moment with my parents at all. And so everything I do is to make them proud, but they want me to be perfect, so they're never ever going to be proud because I can't be perfect. I can only do my best, and that's never going to be good enough for them. So just really, really heartbreaking stuff here. And again, goes back to the subtitle here of nobody's perfect. The stars clearly expect perfection, and no one is. So of course Mila's not going to live up to it. And, I think that our heroes here are realizing that, yeah, they're also not perfect, and that's okay. And so like we had, of course we haven't gotten to full happiness yet because we need to stay monsters for a little while longer, but like we're beginning that process of learning the lessons from the previous film all over again. So I think we then cut to the Star family as Mila's like admitting all this, and we see that they have some like through Mila's drone, they're able to spy on her. And they see that she's sitting at a campfire with a bunch of monsters, holding hands with a little monster boy. And they are not happy about this. Again, it's like, Mom is like furious, and the dad's like, I'll deal with this. Like he's mad too, but he's like, he's not going to let Mom loose. Like, but she's too furious. And he's like, I'm mad too, but let me handle this. And we see that like a little time has passed. Everybody's fallen asleep around the campfire, and suddenly there's like a beeping that wakes Mila up, and the little hologram communicator from Dad pops up, and he's like, Mila, hurry, we need you right away. Your mother is dying, and every second counts. We need that giant ape right away so we can get the machine up and running and we can save your mother. So, really just finds the perfect way to manipulate her into doing what he wants one more time. And, of course it works. Mila immediately, while everyone's asleep, zaps Kong with Konga with the shrink ray, puts him in a containment vessel, powers up her machine, and flies home. And we cut to right away her getting home and her dad inserting Konga into the machine. And so the machine, I guess we didn't really describe it. It's like any movie where monsters are captives, they're always in these weird glass pods, just kind of floating, and it's that, but we have just a room full of these pods with Dracula and Baba Yaga and Renfield and all the others just, in various pods. And so they're cranking up the machine to try to save Mom, and Mom is, we've got a science slab in the middle of the room with a sheet over it, very Frankenstein-y. And, Mila is standing next to it, just saying, we're the stars, we can do this, we're the stars, it's like a mantra that if she says it enough, this will somehow revive her mom. And then suddenly the sheet, lifts up something, the Mom under the sheet sits up, and we get Mila's view, or we're seeing Mila, as we see something sit up, and then we see Mila's face, and she's shocked. She's like, what? And then we see Mom come up behind Mila. And she's, said, I think, I don't remember what she says, but she says something and Mila turns and is like, wait, if you're Mom, what is happening? And she's like, that's Mila. And Mila's like, no, I'm Mila. And they're like, no, you're Mila 1.0, and that is your replacement. So dun dun dun, surprise, surprise, that that Mila doesn't really matter to them because they've made a new monster. And yeah, Mom just villain monologues here and explains everything. They don't care about the rest of the world. This machine is just to make themselves immortal. But it didn't work because, they're just not capable of what they want here. But instead, they're hoping that maybe they can pass their consciousnesses on into animated bodies that would be controlled, that would have immortal energy using these monsters as the batteries or whatever. And Mila's like, but I'm your daughter. And they're like, yeah, we told you were. But actually, you're just an orphan that we acquired because you had a specific genetic footprint that we thought would be useful for our work. So, just, some brutal, horrible stuff. Nothing surprising here again. Obviously, they've been using her this whole time. And, we've had over and over again where, she said, we're the stars. We do this because we're the stars. And so it's kind of echoed back here. The parents, or the non-parents, look at her and they say, we are the stars and you are not. And so they sick this, newly revived Mila 2.0 on Mila, and we get another sort of extended chase scene as Mila runs out, jumps in an elevator, and these, this is super sci-fi, glass elevator on a stick that's hurtling through space. Their layer is way up in the sky. And so she's flying down in this pod, and we cut from that to the family waking up on the island and finding that Mila and Konga are gone. And they're like, what is going on? So they Max tries to track her down again, with his love powers or whatever.
Yeah.
But he's finding that he can't do it because she hurt his feelings too much here. He really felt like they made a connection now, and she again abandoned them. And, sort of echoing Emma the previous night, telling Faye that she believes in her and all that. Emma's also like, I believe in you, Max. You can do this. You can find her. I know that what you have there is real, and we'll figure this out. Something else is going on. Just focus in. You clear your head. You're the smartest kid I know. Just really laying it on, and just think, and we'll be there. And sure enough, it works. They pop into existence in the elevator pod with Mila, and they're like, what happened? Where did you go? And she's like, okay, yeah, you guys were right. My parents suck. They're not even my parents, actually. And there's a clone of me, and she's trying to kill me. And she just sums up everything that just happened a few minutes ago for the family. And so she's like, so I've got no one. Like, I am all alone in the world. My parents aren't my parents. I don't have a family. And they're like, you do have a family. We're your family. So, really kind of leaning into this, that they're learning, and they're nobody's perfect, and an imperfect family is actually ideal. When you can't accept your imperfections, that's when you lead to these villainous stars, So we're learning the lessons from the last movie all over again. And as that's going on, and they're having their little sweet hugging and learning moment, the elevator lands, and Mila 2.0 is right there waiting for them. And so we have the two Milas trying to fight, but they have the exact same set of knowledge. So it's like mirrors where they just keep punching fists and kicking feet. It's just like nothing's really happening. But eventually I think, because Mila 2.0 has one thing over Mila, which is that she's not a good guy. She doesn't have to do the right thing. She's evil. So, at some point, they're, fighting in midair with their, flight packs, and evil Mila, pulls the flight pack off of good Mila, who starts plummeting. They're still, midway in the air in the pod. So, now she's just, falling to her death down below. And, of course, Max can't let that happen, so he jumps out of the pod as well, to catch her. And as he gets to her and grabs her, and it's like, it's okay, you're safe. And she's like, Max, we're both still falling to our deaths. You haven't saved me.
Yeah.
And she's at some point in this section, she says something about I'm sorry for calling you Pizza Boy all that time. I will never call you Pizza Boy again. And he's like, okay. And she's like, but I mean, that's not really much of a promise, because we're going to die in 2 minutes, but for what it's worth. And he's like, no, you forgot. We just teleported to see you in the pod earlier. So he, uses the teleport thing again. But he's having trouble because it's, kind of chaotic, and he's stressed again. So it's successful in that they don't smash into the ground, but they're not where they're trying to go. So we get, I would say this is another very long sequence, but I would call this maybe the most interesting one of the film. So they keep teleporting just in midair somewhere else. So they keep, they appear, and then they just keep falling, and then they appear elsewhere and they keep falling. And also, as this is going on, evil Mila 2.0 is trying to catch them and stop them. So she, flies towards them, and then they disappear, and then she's looking around trying to find them again. And so it's kind of an interesting, fun set piece, where they're, it's they're doing a lot that would be hard to do outside of an animated film. This would require tons of cool special effects, but with animation, you can do whatever. So it looks pretty good. And I think eventually, in the course of this, Mila's like, Max, stop just teleporting. Just we're falling, but we're okay. We're up higher. Just clear your head. Think about your family. Think about the people that matter to you most in the world, and how much they love you and how much you love them. Just focus on that. And so we have, again, Max is using his powers of love. He's been using them to find Mila, and now he uses it to find his family. And they, again, appear back in the pod with the family. and they're all so happy, and we get another moment where everyone's hugging, and they've really started to learn their lesson here, and suddenly we see, the magic swirling, like they're getting ready to turn human again. But then it stops, and they're all like, wait, somebody which one of us is not happy still? Like, I'm happy. Who's stopping it? And then they look over at Max, and he's like, I'm sorry, I can't be happy when I see that Mila has nothing. Like, we have so much to be happy about. And Mila is all alone in the world. And Mila is like touched by this, and she goes over to like hug Max. And then that's when evil Mila appears and wants to fight more. So now they're all in the pod, and the whole family is fighting. We get this whole big fight. And as the fight's going on, Emma is also like, Max, of course, Mila, she is our family. Like, when this is all over with, she's coming with us. Like, we are going to be one big happy family together. And Mila's like, how can you say that? I've just done nothing but terrible things to you the entire time you've known me. And Emma's like, I mean, this is what a family's about. Like, we hurt each other's feelings sometimes. We do unkind things to each other, but we love each other at the end of the day. And we forgive each other, and we forgive you. So, yeah, very sweet, very hugging and learning again. And, we're all teaming up to try to fight Mila 2.0. I think, again, Faye tries to do, like, the tornado thing. But, like, somehow evil Mila uses, like, ropes or something, and, like, as the tornado's twirling... no, it's not ropes. It's Faye's mummy bandages, and she ties the whole family up into this big blob in the center of the tornado. And at this point, the like elevator pod has returned to the star's science lair, and she's like, "Look, Mom and Dad, I've captured the whole family. Everything's fine now." Mila, as they're all kind of captured, Mila's like, I'm so sorry. I got this all wrong. I've put you all in danger over and over again. And Max is like, everybody makes mistakes. That's what we've been saying. Nobody's perfect. Didn't you see it on the movie poster? That's the whole thing. We're all learning here. So yeah, I'm not perfect. You're not perfect, but we forgive, we learn, we grow together. And so this time, everybody's happy, everybody's connecting, and the whole family turns human again. The magic swirls start happening, and the Star family is just like watching this, and they're like, just looking like, what is this stupid thing that's they're very sciencey, and then it's like a magic thing happening, and like when it stops. I don't even remember. One of them is like, I think it's Mila, and she's like, you guys are the best family ever. And the stars are like, these losers are the best. We are the stars. We are the best family ever. And Max like looks at them to like argue or whatever, and then he sees behind them there's like a monitor screen that's like has like security cameras of outside the lair, and he sees that the bats are flying towards the lair holding the shrink ray. And so Max, being the smart one, is like, time for distraction. we need to let these bats catch up to us, and then everything will be okay. So he starts trying to give like an inspirational speech about like, you know what, I've learned something today. And like it works for a few seconds, but then like I think Mila 2.0 like is gonna like attack them again. There's gonna be another fight. So he's like, wait. And then he just breaks into song. He starts singing, and I think this is another like made up song for the film. I didn't recognize this one, at least.
Yeah, me neither.
But yeah, so he's singing and dancing. We had this earlier scene where, we saw a video of him dancing and it was embarrassing. And here it's extremely embarrassing. And that's sort of the point. Like he's leaning into like, we don't have to be cool. We don't have to like fit in or have everybody understand us because we have our family and we all love and accept each other, and it's all of this. So like he's using his embarrassing dance powers for good by distracting and like horrifying the stars. Like they're like, ew, this is gross. This is awful. I hate this. Like they're just it's effective as a distraction because it's so bad. So while Max is doing all this, of course, the bats arrive. They fly in, like drop the shrink ray into Max's hands, and he immediately zaps Mr. Star. And then, I think the tiny Mr. Star like attacks him, and there's like he's kind of knocking him around, and he's like just shooting the shrink ray everywhere. Like, he'll shrink a section of wall that then like disappears more or less. He's breaking chunks off of the building. He does eventually hit Mrs. Star in the process. And then he's just got to get Mila 2.0. And, really showing that like what the family has learned here. The rest of the family is like, okay, well, you got the stars. Let's go free all of the captured monsters. And Mila 1.0 is like, but the evil clone, she's still, and they're like, we trust Max. We'll let him do that. So it's sort of similar to earlier where they were like, Faye, we trust you in school. We don't need to keep tabs on you. We know you can handle it. But here it feels better. Like they're, they trust him, but they're here. Like they're not abandoning him. As a family, we can accomplish more together if we believe in each other. And, it feels, again, like they've learned something and they've become a better version of themselves again. We have the family then, like, releasing each of the monsters, and each family member has a little moment where they sort of bond with one of the monsters. Of course, Frank reconnects with his buddy, the Yeti. And I think... Faye, I don't know. Faye reconnects with Conga, of course, and then like Emma kind of connects with Nessie. They didn't really have a bonding moment before, but they sort of do now. Then we see one of the other. Of course, they also rescue Baba Yaga and Renfield, who they're is friends of the whole family. And then we see the last pod, which contains Dracula, and they're like, let's just leave that one because fuck Dracula. They go back to find Max, but like chunks of the wall and the ceiling are collapsing as the shrink ray is out of control, and something hits Dracula's pod and ends up freeing him anyway. And then we cut to the two Milas who are fighting, and we get the most inevitable, again, as soon as you knew Mila 2.0 existed, you knew this scene was going to happen where suddenly both Milas are standing there and they're like, no, shoot her. I'm the real Mila. No, I'm the real Mila. And they're, pointing, and it's, perfect mirror images and everything. And Max is standing there with the shrink ray. Like, what do I do? Like looking at both of them. And then, everything that the two Milas are saying is exactly the same, but then they say something like, no, shoot her, Pizza Boy or Max. One calls him Pizza Boy, one calls him Max, and instantly, as soon as that happens, he zaps the one that said Pizza Boy, because like the family believed in Max to handle this, and all of these points where they're trusting each other, Max trusted that when Mila earlier said, I'll never call you Pizza Boy again, that she meant it. That not that like in the heat of the moment, she might accidentally revert to, no, in this movie, she's learned her lesson. She's never going to say an insulting thing again. And he believes that with his whole heart, and it works. And of course it's correct. He zapped the evil Mila, and shrunk her down. And so then we have Mom and Faye like put like a glass bowl or something over top of evil Mila, who's shrunk, and that's when Dracula returns, and he gives his villain monologue. he, turns into his bat form and is like, now it's time to get revenge on this stupid family who's been nothing but trouble for me ever since I interacted with them. And he's like, because I am the most powerful and clever and beautiful vampire. And like and they're like, beautiful? This like goofy bat thing that you think that's beautiful? And he's like, yes, of course, I'm the Prince of and Max is just shoots him with the shrink ray too, just like, we don't have time for this. Then we have the stars who are tiny put into the little drone that like Mila had flying around her, like sort of as if it were like a mini version of the Starjet, and they just kind of like knock it into orbit, so they're trapped in it, they can't control it. Meanwhile, the bats, that are normal sized bats are now quite a bit bigger than the bat form of Dracula, so they're having a good time with that because Dracula tormented them throughout the first film. So yeah, they're really enjoying, that now they're bigger and more powerful. As this is all going on, things are chaotic on the base because everything's collapsing. Too much of the walls and ceiling have been destroyed. It is time to get out of here. We are gonna, we're in trouble if we don't get out of here quick. So they all start running. And Mila is like, no, wait. And she runs back and grabs the little like glass dome that, Mila 2.0 is trapped in. Again, we're the good guys. We can't, let her die. And like Max actually had turned and chased after her to help as well. But again, in this fashion where the family's like, we trust, we support each other. They get in the elevator pod and leave Max, which is most versions of this kind of story would be like, no, we're not going to leave anybody behind. But here we get this message of like, we trust each other and we support each other, and we're not going to stick around to like complicate things. Like we could just escape, and then Max and Mila can escape on their own, and we're not all trapped. So they leave, and then we have Max and the two Milas flying down, but of course, like Mila's using her wings to fly, and she's like got Max and holding the tiny Mila, but the tiny Mila like breaks free and like pulls gets something to like cover up Mila's eyes and like blindfolds her, hoping that they'll crash and die. Like she's still. It's like the scorpion and the frog thing. She's so evil that she will even allow herself to die in the process as long as she can kill Mila 1.0. And this takes us to the payoff of a gag that I didn't even think to mention. Like I just didn't even put in my notes this whole time. So throughout this, there's been several instances where we're like to indicate that Mila's not so perfect. She doesn't know her left from right. And it's like a constant thing where Max is like, how are you the child of the brilliant stars and you don't know your left from right? It's come up over and over again. So now, she's flying blind, and there's all these pieces of the ship or of the base falling out of the sky. It's very treacherous. And she and Max have to work together. Max has to tell her what to do and trust that she will do it right, even though all of his experience of her is like that she doesn't know her left from right and that this could go catastrophically bad. But Max believes in her, and he tells her left and right, and she dodges things, and they manage to get to safety. And I think as this is going on, like Mila 2 breaks free or something, and she goes flying up in frustration of this didn't work. She crashes into the drone containing the stars, and the Starjet goes like careening off in the distance. So it seems like all three of those bad guys are sort of defeated, and Max and Mila land on the beach, and he's like, I knew you'd get it right. I think that the stars never believed in you, and so you doubted yourself. But because I had faith in you, you trusted your instincts, and you knew your left from right, and everything was fine. So they get a little beautiful, touching moment there themselves. And then that's when they kept, like, the family, you know, they're walking towards each other on the beach where they've landed some distance away from each other. They reunite, and as they get there together, we just cut to later, and we're having Renfield and Baba Yaga wedding, take 2. But now, in addition to our one single family, we also have Mila, and we also have all of the monsters from the movie. We have Conga and the Yeti and Nessie all attending the wedding. And so, you know, the happy monster family is now a bigger, more extended, happier, more monstrous family. So, you know, it seems, once again, everybody's learned their lesson, everybody's happy, and, you know, we got a happy ending. And here we have, like, the sort of, like, initial credits, you know, where we have, like, family photos, you know, usually corresponding to, like, the actor playing, the voice actor playing whichever character and stuff. But then we get, like, the sort of mid-credit sequence bit where we see Dracula, and he's back in his castle again. This seems strange, because, you know, it seemed like Dracula was handily defeated and shrunk down, and it's, what's going on here? And he's standing there, he walks to, like, his balcony, he looks out at the snowy landscape that we saw from the beginning of the film, and he's like, I must prepare myself. One day, I will bide my time for now, and I will get revenge on all of the people who did me wrong. And it's like, what's going on here? And then the camera keeps zooming out, and we see that, no, this beautiful snowy landscape and this castle they're just shrunk down. It's a little Dracula terrarium inside a glass tank that Renfield is taking care of. And, like, you know, Baba Yaga walks up to him, and she's like, don't forget to feed Dracula. You'd hate for him to, you know, to wither away. It's just like, you know, you've got your pet fish or whatever. And he has, like, it's like a fish food thing. He, like, shakes some little flakes down into the Dracula enclosure. And then we go to the real credits.
Yes. Family learned their lesson again, and they will definitely remember it this time until the inexplicable third movie in the series, and then they will very quickly forget.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's just, I mean, I think this is it. I don't think we're going to get another sequel to this, but certainly if there was one, it would be more of the same. You know, who knows? Mila would, you know, go back to her old evil ways somehow, or for some reason, and the family would have to remind her by becoming monsters that, you know, blah, blah, it would be the exact same thing again. It's just, I'm glad this is it for this one. It does still make me curious about what the book is like, because as we know, the big difference is the family is just monsters in the book from the get-go. And I'm very curious how that works. But I did a bunch of digging since we did the last episode. I don't think this book exists in a non-German translation. Every version that I could find on, like, eBay and everything looked like it was the German one. So I'm going to keep on it. I'm going to do my best. And if this exists in English form anywhere, if anybody out there knows of a way for me to find it, I would love to hear from you, because I'm very curious. And if we can get our hands on this in English, we will absolutely do an episode on the book, because it's got to be just so completely different. And that makes me very, very curious.
Yeah. Damn, that's unfortunate. I'll just order a German version, and I'll take it to my ex co-host on my old show, TJ. His girlfriend, Indy, her family is from Germany, and she's not, like, super fluent, but she speaks enough German conversationally that I could maybe convince her to give me a rough translation.
That would be such a huge ask, but if she is into that, I would totally be down. Like, that would be really, really good. But yeah, I'm sure if you're not, like, extremely fluent. Sitting down to read an entire novel in another language would be quite a challenge. And yeah, if you have better things to do, I'm sure you're not going to be like, sure, I'm going to waste like a week of my life reading a German novel about a family of monsters.
What's that? You need Monster Family translated from German? Yeah. Let me just call out of work real quick. I'll have that done. No problem.
Yeah.
This movie, man, I agree. I'm glad this series is done, at least the movies, because, and I mean, it's not even like it's bad exactly. It's more just uninteresting, which I think I would rather have watched something bad, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, like I've seen plenty of like really bad films, and like, you know, if there's something unique and weird about it, I've got much more patience for it. Like I would rather watch like an F tier movie than a C tier movie any day. And yeah, this feels, I mean, very much like a C. It's just, you know, and I think especially when it comes to like kids movies, like it's so easy to just make a generic kids movie that doesn't do anything unique and interesting and challenging, because kids are not entirely discerning viewers. You know, they'll watch anything if it's a cartoon. And so that all the more, you know, when Pixar first started making movies, people went insane because it was like, wow, you can make a good movie for kids. You can make a movie that, you know, tells a story that kids engage with, but like emotionally affects adults as well. This is unheard of. And of course it wasn't. There were plenty, I mean, like, you know, The Iron Giant, from some of the same people who did a lot of the early Pixar stuff, obviously predated that. And I mean, you know, Disney has done things of varying quality over the decades. But I think in recent times, especially now that we have like 3D CGI type animation, it's incredibly easy to crank out very low effort animated films. And honestly, I mean, even Pixar is guilty of doing it from time to time anymore. And yeah, it's a shame. Like, it's a shame for somebody to have all of this artistic stuff at their disposal, all of this capability, and just kind of do something middle of the road, not try anything challenging to themselves or to the viewer. Yeah, so it's fine. And, you know, if you have kids in your life, you could probably do worse than this for sure. I mean, it's better than like Cocomelon or something. But, you know, you're not going to be blown away by anything that happens in this film, that's for sure.
Yeah. Before we wrap up completely, you want to know what the box office for this was?
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm sure it's probably not exact because this got released direct to DVD. There wasn't like any kind of theatrical release for it. But, you know, if you remember the first one, budget of 30 million, box office of 27.8. Somehow they convinced them to get a budget, or to give them a budget of 40 million on the sequel. And the box office was 6.7 million.
Woof.
Yeah. So I think that, you know, I think you were right. This definitely is the end of the line for the Monster Family, for the Wishbones.
Yeah, wow. That is, yeah. Because, yeah, the first one we were like, wow, that's weird that but yeah, even direct to video, and they couldn't, yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah, I can't believe they gave them 10 extra million for the sequel. Like, I mean,
and
that...
Yeah, where did it go? Like, there's still nothing particularly...
I mean, I assume maybe some of it went to, like, new models for the Star Family and the other, like, cryptid monsters, but, I mean, I can't imagine that it really would have cost that much, especially when they already had the assets from the first one. I really just don't. I don't know, man. Maybe there's some kind of money laundering scheme happening behind the scenes with this or something.
Yeah, that is wild.
Yes. But, well, Anthony, do you know what we'll be watching next week?
Yeah. So next week, I talked to you about this a little bit offline. We have a new person joining our rotating stable of co-hosts. I've been talking to him for a couple weeks, and he is going to be joining us next week. We're going to be. He actually wanted to do this movie that has been on the list for a while. Actually, I've been on the list since day one, and I wasn't sure if it was worth doing, but he kind of sold me on it. So the host is David Ullman. He's been around on several other podcasts. If you've listened to like the Borgo Pass podcast, he's been on a lot of episodes with them. He's also an independent filmmaker. We will talk more about that in the episode with him. But we are going to be talking about a documentary that came out around the time that Kenneth Branagh's film Mary Shelley's Frankenstein came out. The documentary is called "It's Alive: The Story of Frankenstein." So yeah, it's this. We peek behind the curtain. We've already recorded that episode, so I'm real excited for you guys to hear it. It's we had a lot of fun talking about it, and when David pitched this one, I was like, all right, cool, yeah, let's do it and see how it goes, and then we'll go from there. And I think we'll see more of David in the future, but yeah, we will be talking about this documentary, and it's a fun episode that kind of goes all over the place because a documentary doesn't really have a plot, so it kind of let us just kind of like wander around and talk about all kinds of things.
Yeah, that sounds very, very interesting, and I am looking forward to listening to that episode. I think I made the joke when we were talking about it before, but you're collecting with Tim Kirk and now David. You're definitely collecting your stable of indie film director co-hosts.
Yeah, that's the most fun thing about the Frankencast has just been like meeting a lot of cool people and getting to talk to them. Like, and obviously, Hayden, you're certainly in that group. Like, it's been so fun just like meeting cool people who like Frankenstein stuff and want to talk about it. And I'm excited to meet and interact with another one. It's great. I hope you guys, listeners, are having fun with all of the different perspectives. Eric and I did this together for just the two of us for a really long time, and I know Eric's been busy with other things, and we try to get him back whenever we can and everything. But it's been fun just hearing, getting a lot of different voices talking about their feelings and perspectives and stuff. So I think it's, the Frankencast has been around almost 5 years at this point. So it's nice to diversify and, keep things from stagnating too much. So I hope you all are enjoying that as well. And I think, I think it's also nice, like, I know Hayden, we've had conversations about like, you like listening to the podcast and suddenly you're on it a lot and suddenly you don't have episodes to listen to because you don't want to just listen to a thing that you already did once. So hopefully this balances the weight so you get some episodes to actually sit down and enjoy, as well as getting to be a part of it as well. So hopefully that'll be fun for everybody involved. I think you'll enjoy this conversation when it comes out next week.
Definitely. God, 5 years, man. Oh, geez.
Yeah, it's wild. I was just doing the math on it earlier today. Like, so because we started at the beginning of October, so yeah, it'll be 5 years at the beginning of October. So we're a couple months away, but like, yeah, getting pretty close.
Time flies when you're rebuilding corpses.
Yeah, I think that's how the saying goes, if I remember right.
Definitely. All right. Well. Where can they find us, Anthony?
Oh, yeah. So, as usual, you can find us on all the socials at The Frankencast. You can email us at thefrankencast@gmail.com. We're also over on YouTube. And, of course, you can always find us at patreon.com/thefrankencast, where we got lots and lots more bonus episodes. There's plenty more with Hayden over there. Classic episodes with Eric and a couple with Tim. I'm sure eventually we'll get David over there as well. But, whatever you're into, we've got lots of Frankenstein ephemera over there, comics and TV shows and porn parodies and etc.
Yeah, and they could still do the free trial, right?
Yes, yeah, you can sign up for I think it's like a week-long free trial, and you can binge through as much. There's well over 100 episodes, but go nuts. You can listen to as many as you can squeeze in a week, and if you get your fill and want to move on, totally fine. We'd just love for you to hear the stuff that's over there.
Definitely. Yeah, well, I guess that's it. I really don't have anything else to say about Monster Family 2.
Yeah.
But if that's it, then to be oopa.
Looks like you survived another episode. The Frankencast is a production of FCR Media. It's hosted by Anthony Bowman, Eric Velasquez, and Hayden Orr. Follow us online at The Frankencast, or send us a letter at thefrankencast@gmail.com. Our cover art is by Amanda Keller. You can find her at Keller Illustrations on Instagram. Our theme music is by Vivek Abhishek. Thanks for listening.